And that's my cue to start the show. Welcome to another edition of the Hard Rock and Sports Show, live from high top Hard Rock and Sports Studios in beautiful scenic Monroe, New Jersey. We are your 2-hour weekly get-together. We bring you all the biggest news from around the world of hard rock, heavy metal, across the wide world of sports. And guys, welcome to Thursday night, June the 19th. That's right, Juneteenth. Right here at the Hard Rock and Sports Show. And the best thing about Juneteenth, no traffic. That's right, sorry, no traffic. Anyway, welcome to another edition of the show, and thanks for tuning in on a Thursday night. Got a bit of a storm brewing out there. I hope you guys are in the house and nice and safe. It is very blustery, windy, and rainy out here in New Jersey, and I am glad to be on the air. I was a little concerned that the wind might knock us out. We get rainstorms, and my internet goes kablooey sometimes. But in the meantime, we are live, and we'll be doing a show. I don't know for how long. I don't have much content tonight. But I see Jeff is logged on, but I don't see him at the window, so I'll just fill in a few minutes here. I hope you guys have had a good week. Big thank you. Okay, thank you. My God, congratulations to the Florida Panthers. They won the Stanley Cup. But I'm not a fan. I was rooting for Edmonton. Talk a little bit about that when Jeff gets on. We also don't forget, guys, I think it's the Bleecker Street Theater, July 5th, 6th, and 7th. We'll be replaying a remastered version of Spinal Tap. I will be out of town, so I will not be able to see that. But if you are a fan of the original, great through 7th, please get out to Bleecker Street and take a look. I suppose they have a special a new segment there, a kind of a video message from Marty DeBerge, otherwise known as Carl Meathead Reiner. Rob Meathead Reiner, not Carl. Carl's his father. Sorry. So anyway, so you got that. We got the big September 12th, I think it is, the new the sequel to Spinal Tap will finally be hitting the store. We'll be hitting the theater, so we'll be kind of trying to get a gang get together for that. And like I said, right now football's coming to an end. This is the one period of the year where football goes dark. So they just finished all the mandatory mini camps. Everybody scatters out around the country, around the world. They do their vacations, and then everybody gets back together. Giants, I think it's July 15th for rookies, July 22nd for veterans, and July 23rd would be the first practice. So, camp practice. Anyway, so we'll got a lot to get to tonight. Hopefully, Jeff will pop up in a few minutes. In the meantime, I hope you guys are having a good week. If you're to all our friends, back in the old days of the show, when we were on Blog Talk Radio, we used to get reports, and we would see that we had viewers or listeners around the world. I mean, we had literally Russia and all sorts of countries around the world. Maybe there'd be one person, but somebody in those countries were listening to the Hard Rock and Sports Show, and we had quite a few in Israel. We had a couple percentage points, 2 or 3% of our audience was from Israel. So all of you who are not listening anymore, because we're not on Blog Talk Radio, to our friends and allies in Israel, we hope and wish you the best. And to our president, we hope you make the right decision on the Iranian nuke issue. So we pray for our president to make a smart and wise decision. I won't get into my points on it. But I hope the president makes the right decision and leads us away. And, anyway, so one thing I'll talk about before Jeff gets on, I saw that the New York Post must be bored too, and they've been doing the Mount Postmore, which is their Mount Rushmore of players per team. Now, I didn't see it. I saw that they had the net one, and I really could care less about the net one. It was Julius Erving. It was Jason Kidd. A couple of, I think, Brooke Lopez. It's inconsequential. But they had the Nick one, and I was baffled a little bit by it. And again, the Knicks go back a long way. They had the glory years of the early 70s, late 60s, early 70s. You had a couple brief moments in the 80s, and then you had those 90 Knicks that went to 2 championships and lost, had some great plays. And then, of course, you had from 2000 till, well, maybe 5 years ago, we had a lot of wasteland. So the Knicks, real quick, and I see Jeff just come up, so I want to get Jeff on, but the Knicks picked Ewing, Willis Reed, had no issues there. Clyde Frazier, Walt Frazier, who most people think is the greatest Knick of all time, and I wouldn't argue that. And then they had Jalen Brunson at number 4. Now, there's not a lot of debate, but to me, Bill Bradley could have been DeBusschere, could have been Red Holtzman, the coach, and it really could have been Bernard King. Now, I know Bernard King only played 4 years, but Brunson's only been there for 3. Bernard King, at one point for about 3 years, might have been the 2nd, 3rd, or 4th best player in basketball. I mean, at least as a scorer. I mean, Bernard King was one of the great scorers of a 4-year period. And it wasn't for a really bad knee injury. Him and Patrick Ewing could have teamed up, and I think they would have won a championship. He would have gave each guy that number 2 guy, whoever you would have considered number 1, that they never had before and never had at all. So I think the Post going in with Jalen Brunson as the number 4 Knick on the Mount Rushmore is pathetic. It's too easy. I'm sorry. He's 3 years. He just got to a conference final. Yes, he's the best player on an average team. It's like being the tallest midget in the circus. So, hey, Adam Hines, man, we miss you too. Hey, prayers for Matt. Matt, I didn't get a chance to talk to you, but please, we know that your dad's in our prayers, and anything you need, and please be safe flying to Florida. Keep in touch. Let us know what's going on. And Adam Hines, we miss you, brother. We miss you. I know you got that crazy schedule now, and glad to see your pups feeling better. But we're out here. But listen, Jeff's on. Let me get him up on the show. Let's get it kicked in. And we can't start the show till we get Jeff on. So let's do that right now. What's up, Hefe?
What's up, man?
Not much, pal. Not much. Hold on. Thank you. Okay. All right. So, Jeff, let's kick it off like we always do. And, Jeff, how was your week?
Long week, but it's over. Here we are.
Frankie Catalano, what's up, brother? Frankie, a show contributor, gave us a little something to talk about this week in his WWF era versus era, which we will get to. We got a little Shedeur Sanders. We got a little Lamar Jackson. Least desirable trade destinations in the NFL. I'll run that past Jeff. The Florida Panthers win the Cup. C.J. Mosley retires, and we'll talk about the Black Sabbath trailer / final Back to the Beginning show. So all of that in whatever time we get. Again, this is our dark period. NFL goes dark, but just to be known that at some point in July, NFL will kick back in, and you'll start to see some of the summer shows, and we'll get a little bit more stuff going on. But for now, you got just me and Jeff. So, Jeff, why was the week so long? Busy at work?
It just is, yeah, out of work. But it has to be said, man. Hey, Adam Hines, how are you? It has to be said that one of the greatest linebackers in New York NFL history, who did not smoke crack, retired today.
Oh God, please! You gotta be kidding me.
Might
not even be the best linebacker in this room, let alone in the NFL.
Excuse me. A man that was an upstanding citizen that did not have any arrests on his record, did not get caught in hotels with underage prostitutes. A man that was, an upstanding man, a good man. A good man, and that is CJ.
He might have been. He just wasn't a very good linebacker.
Listen, I would say probably the best linebacker in New York football.
Maybe New York Jets football. Maybe I'll give you that one. But
I said the best linebacker in New York football that did not smoke crack.
Yeah,
I said.
Well, all right, that's fine. And you could. I wouldn't even agree with that. He's nowhere near as good as Carl Banks or Harry Carson, or I could probably think of a few. Brad Van Pelt. I mean,
Thugs.
He was a good player. He just,
Thugs.
much like Aaron Rodgers, that came with a lot of fanfare and too many injuries. So, but I digress. But Jeff, we do have some things to talk about. We got a little Spinal Tap trivia, according to you.
Yes, I do. Which I don't know how. I got to be honest. Before I spew it, I don't know how accurate it may be.
Oh boy!
Because I was under the impression that it was one thing. I'm going to go with what I thought it was.
All right, so that's a good thing too. That's good. We can kind of see if it's a myth, an urban legend, or an out-and-out falsehood, or maybe it's correct.
Well, you don't even know. You don't even know, man. You don't even know. Wow.
I know everything. I just know everything.
All right, so then I'll ask you now.
You want to do it now? You want to wait to get my dad on?
Are you going to get your dad on? Go right ahead.
Let's get my pops on nice and early. I know he had a very long day today. They were out and about, him and my mom. And again, a very happy birthday to my mom as well. Today is her birthday. I know she probably doesn't want to hear it, but it's happy birthday to my mom day. We got to celebrate on Sunday. A whole family thing with Father's Day and my mom's birthday. So I wish my mom a very happy birthday. And let's see, my dad's back. He's there. He's not there. There he is. Okay. What's up, Pop? What's going on?
What's up, guys? How you doing?
What's up,
Jeff?
How are you?
What's up, Pop?
Not much. Just relax.
Good. Uh-oh. You froze.
Hey,
Oh, you froze for a second, Pop. You're still freezing. Dad?
you hear me now?
Now we got you. Go ahead. What's on your mind? I got one thing for you, but you tell me what's on your mind this week.
Not really.
The post today. I don't know if you saw the post.
No, I didn't.
I know you guys were out all day. The Post is doing this thing where they're doing their Mount Rushmore, their top players on all the teams. So today in the paper were the Nets, who nobody cares about, and the Knicks. And I thought it was an interesting one. So I'll give you the first three. The first three were Ewing, Willis Reed, and Clyde Frazier. So I think that's an easy one, no problem. Who do you think? Who would you say is the number 4 guy on that list? Could be a coach, could be a player. Who's the number 4 guy? Yeah, no, I agree. But that was one of the alternate choices. It could have been DeBusschere, could have been Bradley. I mean, Bradley was a great player, Hall of Famer. Yeah, could have been. It could be Red Holtzman as a coach. I mean, there's a guy who's got the most wins and only championships the Knicks have. So there, and to me, it also could have been Bernard King. I mean, King had a great 4 or 5 year run with the Knicks, but to me, I would have went either Bradley or DeBusschere. I think either one.
I don't see Ewing.
It got to be Ewing. It's got to be. He went to 2 championship games. He's a Hall of Fame. He's a top 50 player all time in the NBA. No, it has to be Ewing.
I don't.
Has to be Ewing.
I go by Jeff's theory. You didn't win a championship.
No,
you didn't do anything.
Yeah, again, this is not a single player sport. You need other players. He never had he didn't have DeBusschere, Bradley, Frazier, Reed, Pearl Monroe. You're talking about a team that was full of Hall of Famers, and then with guys coming off the bench like Dick Barnett, and that's he had him and who? Charles Oakley. I mean, so. I'm not saying he's the greatest Knick of all time. I would put that as Frazier probably be the greatest Knick of all time.
I would agree with that.
But no, he did. But the 4th guy they picked was Jalen Brunson, which I thought was a little Jalen Brunson. Yeah, that's what I said. So that's
cool, Jeff.
I used to watch the Knicks when Ewing was playing and everything, and they were a good team. They were a great team. They just weren't good enough to get by Michael Jordan and the Bulls and Scottie Pippen. If it wasn't for them, or one of them was injured at the time, maybe the Knicks would have won a championship. But as far as some of the older players, I'm not very good with them, and I definitely don't know the younger crowd. I followed them from afar this year, and just kept tabs on them to see where they were going and how they were doing. But as far as knowing, the ins and outs of these players, sadly, I do not.
Yeah, I don't think Brunson deserves his third 3 years. The team he's played okay. He's played really well at times, but I thought that
You got
was.
to say, the last 20 years,
Mhm.
this is a team that was horrible, and they were mired in a salary cap hell. I know that much, that they couldn't even get players.
Yeah, no, this Nick team from 2000 till about 5 years ago was a terrible team. Every year, I mean, it had one or two bright spots along the way, but this was a very bad team. And
Jeremy Lin is your bright spot. What, about 10 years ago, 15
Sure.
years ago? That's
yeah, and that was a very
bad.
short. That was only for a few months. It wasn't even a few years. It was a few months. So, hey, listen. But I thought giving Brunson that nod was just a way of getting younger viewers or younger readers to pay attention. So, but that's it. Other than that, Pop, what else you seeing? Anything out there baseball wise? Anything?
I didn't get a chance to see the game today.
Yeah, neither did they. Did win. They scored runs and won.
7-3.
Yeah, I didn't see either. I was driving home.
If you go back in the record, the beginning of the year, last year, they did the same thing. They came out. Everybody thought they were going to win 100, 115, 120 games.
Yep.
Then they went into a tank.
Yeah, but they went to the World Series, and again, this team.
I'm just saying. I'm not condemning them for it.
Yeah.
But you can't expect a team to play 160 games and to win.
No.
You got.
Well, every team's going to go through bad spots. I mean, look at the Mets. Everybody had the Mets as the best team in baseball, and they've lost 5 straight going into tonight. So.
I think they have to.
Yeah, so to me, you know how it goes. Baseball's one of those sports. It's up and down. You're going to have, you win 5, 6, 7, 8 games in a row. You lose a couple. You win 5 or 6 games, and maybe you win 3 games. You lose 4 more. At the end of the year, you win 95, 98 games of 162. So, you're going to lose 60, 70 games a year, even the great ones, even the great teams.
You're the record breakers. 125 games.
Yeah, even teams that win 116 games, which is what the Mariners, I think, have the most regular season wins at 116, and they lost in the playoffs to the Yankees.
That's why I said it don't matter.
Yeah, so
you can win 158 games, and you don't go nowhere.
Yep.
What good did it do? Nothing.
Absolutely.
I don't think people realize what a grind a baseball season is.
Oh, sure.
When you really think about it, baseball, you could stand there all day long and not even have a ball hit to you. But some of these fields in the summertime, they're 110, 115 degrees. You're out there in the heat. You're traveling.
Yeah.
There's a lot involved with it,
well,
man. It's not an easy life.
I'll tell you that, and again, look, they have it easier. They're not carrying bags. You're jumping on a plane, big seats. But, go to the airport, fly for 3 hours, 2 hours, get off the plane, get on a bus, go to your, and do that every 3 days. It's a grind. Listen, it's glamorous and make a lot of money, but over the course of, basically 7 months, these guys are all over the country. They get their stretch at home, then they get their stretch away, and like you said, it's a grind.
Yeah, definitely.
I know. I mean, when we were kids, we used to play stickball, and we played 3, 4, 5 games every day, and it was tough.
Sure. Listen, I as a guy who played softball, 3, 4 nights a week, for 2 months or 3 months a year, used to get tired from it. Now, I can't imagine, and again, these are professionals and they have a lot of luxuries that go with it, but play every single day and then travel and sleep in hotel beds, and it's a grind, and I'm sure it wears on you. And there's days you wake up and you just, I'm so tired. I don't want to be in, I don't want to be in Kansas City on a Thursday night playing baseball in 110 degree weather. I mean, I that's just, it's, and then going to the airport and flying to, Seattle or from there to Tampa, and it's a bit of a grind, like Jeff said. I think it wears on you over the course of 7 months. So
should be interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's a long way to go for baseball. We don't get into the real season until September. But between now and through August, teams are going to separate themselves, and you get to September, and there's a race, and whoever wins that race in October, they get the chairman. Whoever deals with the adversity of the days, that's the tough part. So,
all right, guys, let me go. I'll let you guys
Pops.
go. Enjoy, Jeff. Have a nice weekend. Tommy, I'll see you over.
See you over the weekend, Pops.
I'll talk to you guys later.
Talk to you later, Dad. That's my Pops. He checks in every week. And there's a lot of noise in the background there. It was starting to drive my ears crazy. But, all right, Jeff, go with your Spinal Tap trivia. Let's see what you got.
Well, all right. So I had heard this once before, and then I wanted to verify it last night. But I could not really verify it last night, but I was looking on a phone. So I'm going to have to dig a little deeper because it had to do with the scene that you sent me.
Scene I say, okay, hello, Cleveland. Go ahead.
The whole Hello Cleveland scene.
Yep.
Who played the janitor in that scene?
I had a feeling that was going to be the question, and I didn't look it up. And I don't recognize him as anybody famous. Now, he could be, because it seems there's a lot of cameos, but I've seen all the behind the scenes. I've seen all the crazy, all the different cameos, and I've never ever seen highlighted him as a cameo guy. So I can ask Gemini if you want.
No, not yet. Let's see what you if you want to take a stab at it before.
I have I looked at the scene. I watched it 2 or 3 times, and I have no idea who that is.
Well, I remember reading or hearing someplace that part was played by blues legend Muddy Waters.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Okay. When I asked the question last night, I assumed, I'm like, well, it's Muddy Waters.
Mm-hmm.
And then I looked it up after the fact.
Yeah.
And now I don't think that it's Muddy Waters, and I could not verify who it was.
I have a great app. Would you like me to ask my app?
Sure, please.
Okay, hold on 1 second.
Well, by the way, I asked Siri, I asked Alexa, I asked everybody else.
I have Gemini. And my stepson Gary turned me on. It is one of the best apps ever for finding it for this kind of stuff.
Okay.
Let me ask Gemini. Gemini, who played the janitor in the Hello Cleveland scene in the movie Spinal Tap?
The janitor in the Hello Cleveland scene in the movie This Is Spinal Tap was played by Wonderful Smith.
So it was not Muddy Waters.
Okay, so now, Gemini, who is Wonderful Smith? Okay.
Wonderful Smith, June 21st, 1911 to August 28th, 2008, was an American comedian and actor. He was particularly notable in the 1940s for his comedy routine, Hello, Mr. President, an imaginary phone conversation with President Franklin Delano Roosevelt that satirized the New Deal and World War II preparations. This routine was featured in Duke Ellington's satirical review, Jump for Joy. Smith was also a cast member on Red Skelton's radio shows in the early and mid-1940s, alongside Ozzie and Harriet Nelson. After serving in the U.S. Army during World War II,
I don't think you want to hear any more of that, but that's who Wonderful Smith is.
Well, that's wonderful.
And it says besides his memorable role as the janitor in This Is Spinal Tap.
Wow.
Yep. So that was who was your janitor, Wonderful Smith, who I would never have known who that was.
No, I wouldn't either. And sadly, I did not get the right answer. Here I am thinking I was going to stump you, but I kind of stumped you with the question because you didn't know. I
did not know. I did not look it up, but I went back 2 or 3 times because I said, was it Bo? My first thought when I saw it was, he's going to ask me who the thing is. He said, it wasn't Bo Diddley, right? And I said, no, that wasn't Bo Diddley.
That would have been a good guess too.
Yeah, and I went back and watched. I said, okay, that's not Bo Diddley. I know how he talks. And I'm going, this guy doesn't look like he's famous. I've never seen him before. So I had no idea. And if you would have told me it was Muddy Waters, I would have went, all right, it's Muddy Waters. But so we were both not right. We both have no idea, and we don't know who Wonderful Smith is. But there's another. But I have to tell you, that's one cameo, because technically that's a cameo. It's a famous actor, comedian from the 40s, I guess, that they never mentioned. You see the Billy Crystal ones, and what's his name? Bruno Kirby is in the beginning of the movie as the limo driver. Paul Schaefer. Paul Schaefer as Artie Fufkin, Polymer Records. So there's a lot of people who show up in that movie because there's 3 guys who are big in Hollywood at the time, plus Rob Reiner. So I'm expecting to see a lot more of that in the sequel, which is coming out in September. I want to remind everybody, July 5th, 6th, and 7th at the Bleecker Street Theater, they're replaying the original Spinal Tap remastered version with an introduction by Marty DeBerge. So if you're in New York City, which I will not be, unfortunately, go out to the Bleecker Street Theater on the 5th, 6th, or 7th, and you could see the original Spinal Tap on the big screen for 3 days, including a video presentation by the director of the rockumentary, Marty DeBerge. So just to put that out there for everybody.
Ah, okay.
So, all right. But, all right. So let's kick off the show. I do want to get to Frankie's WWF era, but let's run through a couple other things. This might be an early show. I don't know. We'll be back next week to do another show, and then we will be off at least a week, maybe 2. I will be out of town on the 3rd, and I don't know. And by the way, if the 28th is still an open invitation, I will be there.
Please do.
All right. So I haven't had a chance to tell you, but my plans have finally been finalized.
Hammered out.
Yeah. It's been it's gone from maybe 3 weeks to 3 days to not going to going. So we are going, and we've got it nailed down. My parents will be joining us for a few days, so I'm looking forward to getting away a little bit. But in the meantime, I still will be in town that weekend. So I figured if the invitation is still available, then of course I'd like to come out and spend some time with you and your wife. So we'll talk about that off the air. But anyway, so we had a couple small things to talk about, and then we'll get to the WWF thing. And then we'll see where it goes from there. So, again, remember, this week and next week we will be here. Then we will definitely be off on the 3rd, probably off on the 10th, and then starting to look kick back in on the 17th. This is the dark period for Jeff. This is the one dark period for the NFL. Used to be when the Super Bowl ended, the season was over until July. You had 5 or 6 months. Now, it's year round. We talk football all the time. There's always news. There's camps. There's all sorts of shit going on. The draft, combines. This is officially the mini camps are over, the mandatory ones, and everybody scatters. And NFL is finally dark for a month.
Yeah,
and it's probably
it's a quick month too. At that.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a busy month. I mean, you usually have your vacation, right? You do your vacation around your birthday.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's people are out running around. It's a lot different than the wintertime because in the wintertime, you're home more. You're less likely. You're watching the paint dry. Summertime, you're out and about. There's always barbecues. There's places to go. You're getting out of the house for a few hours. People on vacation. So time flies in the summertime. So you're right. July will fly by. I also want to say, anybody, if you didn't watch last week's military parade in D.C., really missed something that was pretty cool. First off, just hearing the stories of some of the different army brigades, the different uniforms from the Revolution through today, the different vehicles. I tell you what, with all the bullshit going on, all the protests and fighting, this and that. If you really couldn't find a couple of hours to kind of flip back and forth and watch the parade and the after fireworks, you really missed out on something. So I watched it, I DVR'd it, and will I watch it again? Probably not, but it was definitely worth the thing. So I'm just saying, guys, be a little patriotic next time. Anyway, so let's kick it in. But how about Shedeur Sanders proving everybody wrong, Jeff, by what? Getting a ticket, driving 101 miles an hour in a 60 mile an hour zone.
Well, I guess you didn't do your research.
What's that?
Because he got a second ticket.
Did he really?
Yes.
I didn't see the second ticket.
He was driving 95 miles an hour.
Come on.
I swear to God, man, it's on ESPN. So he has gotten 2 tickets in a matter of days. And he's doing everything under his power to completely destroy his fucking NFL career.
Wow, he hasn't even got. You would think he would learn. You had that kid. Was it Henry Rooks? Is that his name? The one who was driving like 100 miles an hour, rear-ended to some woman, killed her, and the kid played for Vegas. I think he played for. He was in Vegas. I don't know if he played for Vegas or not.
I think it is. Yeah,
Henry Ruggs, right? Isn't Henry Ruggs Jr.?
Yes.
So he's actually getting out of jail soon, and he's looking to restart his career. But this Shedeur Sanders, I mean, you think, with all the bullshit that he went through with the draft and everything else, and the people questioning his maturity and his bullshit, you would think he would be smart enough. Let's say you got stupid and you got the first ticket, right? Let's say you got to get another one driving 95 miles an hour. I mean, Jeff, you got to think, I don't care how good he plays. This kid's a moron.
Oh, without a doubt. Well, how about this? Why doesn't his father turn around and say to him, like, listen, you didn't go as high as you wanted to go. Okay, it happens. You fell a lot.
Yeah.
About what is going on here? So I got a dog delivery.
Oh, there you go.
And, my wife, we're going to get her on the air in a minute. As soon as she comes through, we'll make sure we grab her.
But
but I mean, you want to talk?
You're right. Hello there, Mrs. Tomlinski.
Hi.
Here she comes. She's hiding.
Look at this cutie.
Now we got the beautiful cat. We just had a Basil sighting.
No, Basil's over there.
Yeah, well, we saw her pass.
You didn't put it down right. You got to put it down.
You fix her.
I can't. I'm in the middle of.
She's fine.
Go fix your dog. Don't worry about it. Go fix the dog.
I shouldn't have to do this. This should have been done. Hold on.
Again, yeah. I mean, you would think at this point that his father would slap the crap out of him and say, "You know what, dude? Grow up and be smart." I mean, they're already questioning everything about this kid, and then he goes and proves everybody right that he's a complete immature moron. And it's basically frightening to think about that. And you wonder, if you're Cleveland, Jeff, you got to be wondering, okay, we got 4 or 5 technically they have 5 quarterbacks on this team right now, if we can account Deshaun Watson, who will not play this year. So you got Flacco, you got Kenny Pickett, right? 2 guys who've played in the league before, both been starters. Flacco's won a Super Bowl MVP. And then they drafted Dylan Gabriel before they drafted Shedeur, and then Shedeur. So if you're Cleveland and it's close, let's say, nobody distinguishes themselves bigger than anybody. They all kind of roll through this together. You'd almost have to say, if you're Cleveland, well, this kid may want to be either killing himself, killing somebody else, or being completely stupid. We need to get rid of him. I mean, there's a real good chance he doesn't even make their roster with this kind of bullshit.
Listen, it's hard to disagree, especially with all these young athletes who end up buying these powerful vehicles that maybe they shouldn't be driving in the first place because some only been driving a short period of time.
Did they say what he was driving? What kind of car he was driving by any chance?
The Dodge T-Rex, which is either one of two things. It's either the Dodge Ram T-Rex, or it may be a Dodge Durango T-Rex. Either way, it probably has no problem hitting 100 miles an hour.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, you're assuming a kid like this is, between his father's money, which I don't know how generous Dion is, and the kid's gotten obviously a rookie contract. So I mean, he'll probably has a few dollars to himself, not counting his nil money. But I mean, it's definitely, if you're Cleveland, you definitely got to be shaking your head and going, "This is exactly why nobody drafted this kid." I mean, you get the first ticket; it's a big deal, if you're him, you got to say, in the community, I'm a moron because you could kill somebody driving 95, 101 miles an hour. Now, I don't know if it was on a highway or through streets. It was a 50 or 60 mile an hour zone, so it sounds like it was on a highway.
Does it really matter? You're, like you said, you put it perfect. Here you are. There's no guarantee, no lock that you're on the team. You got picked by a team. You need to show that you belong, show that you could take on the role, be a leader. Yeah. Here you are driving like you're late to practice.
Yeah. And I'm sure he wasn't late to practice. I'm sure he was out cruising, but it doesn't make any sense. But this is exactly why he's a knucklehead. This is why, and you don't wish it, but if he's gonna wrap himself around a telephone pole, just make sure nobody else gets hurt. Because
he was pulled over on June 6th by the Ohio State Patrol. He was driving 91 miles an hour in a 65-mile-an-hour zone on June 6th.
Wow. So Carl Graham just said he's black Dodge Ram TRX. So you're right. Yeah, you're right. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, listen, if you watch all the hype coming off of like Bleacher Report, Sanders completes a 75-yard bomb. Sanders. Now again, it's helmets and shorts, and nobody's rushing the passer. So I'm not impressed. This is the combine all over again. But if you were thinking about making a team and you were going to be close, the first thing they're going to say is this kid's maturity level is ridiculous. And after everything that's gone on with guys like Ruggs and other morons, who was the guy? Was it Wilkerson? Which one was the jet guy who was driving like 100 miles an hour with a loaded gun under the seat? Oh,
man, what the fuck was his name? He was a defensive.
Was it Muhammad Wilkerson?
No, it wasn't Wilkerson. He got busted drinking and driving.
That's right. Who was the other? There was the other guy on that line, right? What was his name?
I can't fucking remember.
Maybe Carl or Frankie will know it. I can't think of the name of it, but
he ended up playing a couple different. He went to, I think he played in Minnesota.
Yeah.
He played in Cleveland for a while, I believe.
But this was a guy who was a mainstay on that team, with a bright future, and then you get pulled over with, driving 100 miles an hour with a gun under the seat and a 12-year-old kid in the car. I mean,
yeah, he got busted doing like 133 miles an hour, and then he pulled in
Sheldon Richardson. That's it. Thanks, Carl. I knew Sheldon Richardson. Yep, that's it. So I mean, yeah. So I don't hold a lot of hope for Mr. Shedeur Sanders, and to be honest with you, you hope that his father picks up the phone and gives him a call and says, "Dude, what are you doing? You're going to kill yourself or kill somebody else. What are you doing?" So, but we'll see. Camp's coming, Jeff, and we'll be able to watch the progression. And let me ask you this question. It's quiet time now. Prediction: does he make the team, and is he the starting quarterback next year for the Cleveland Browns?
Oh man, good God, dude! Who the fuck knows? Who don't know? Who knows with this guy? Nobody. I couldn't tell you. I wouldn't even want to take a guess. Does he make the team? I'm going to say yeah.
I agree.
Just because people are going to want to see him play. They're going to want to see him get in there because of who he is and all of the hype that surrounded him. Does he make it? Does he play? Maybe a game here and there in mop-up duty, but it's Cleveland. So, what are the chances of him are probably better of getting hit by lightning than being cut from that team. I'll be honest with you. I think based on what I feel, I think Kenny Pickett starts the season for that team. I think Flacco's too old, too rigid. I'll be surprised if Flacco makes the team, to be honest with you. I think it's Pickett and the two rookies, and I would be shocked if it wasn't that way. I think I don't think there's any way in the world, unless something stupid happens or an injury happens, that they cut one of the two guys they drafted and keep Flacco, to be honest. Oh, like I said, we're going to find out, because it's this is a team that's definitely in need of players.
Yeah,
definitely in need of a quarterback.
I agree.
And listen, you just never know. At this point in time, they may want to put people in the seats.
Well, that's the other point. Yeah, so you could by all means, if you're looking to just garner publicity, or you're looking to create a stir and a buzz, you could give him the job. I mean, I don't see it, but I think they need a veteran presence. Maybe one of these two kids grow up in the next year or so. Neither one of them, to me, are starter material for this year, but crazy things have happened. So to me, it's Kenny Pickett as the starter, and maybe maybe Flacco hangs around with a clipboard. Not even a clipboard. I think he gets a playbook, and if somebody gets hurt, Flacco's on the team either as a backup or as a starter. But I'll be Sanders is the only contract that they won't have to eat anything. So Sanders and Flacco will be gone. Yeah, it would not shock me, Carl. I do think that they'll keep three quarterbacks, and I do believe it's three of the four. Again, Watson's out this year, so you don't have to worry about him for this year. But we'll see what happens. Like I said, a long time. Jeff, Lamar Jackson believe he should be the highest paid player in the NFL. Do you see Lamar Jackson as the guy who should be the highest paid? Is he better than Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes? Is he better than Saquon Barkley? Is he, where do you rank Lamar Jackson? Is he top 5? Is he top 10?
I definitely have to say top 10, maybe approaching top 5, but I'll say this much. He at one point in time, and by the time his next contract comes up, he will be the highest paid player in the NFL because Baltimore's not going to let him go. They're not just going to let him run away, walk away. That's not going to happen because any chance that they have of doing anything evolves around having him on the team. So they're not going to just let him walk via free agency. That's not going to happen.
But do you think, though, that as a guy who listen, he's won 2 MVPs, probably could have won a 3rd MVP this year had they not given it to Josh Allen, but has had little to no postseason success at all. I mean, he's kind of, and I love Aaron Judge. He's kind of the Aaron Judge of the NFL, and he might be the best player. Maybe I don't consider him to be the best player, but when it gets to the playoff time, he can't win the big games. He cannot get his team to that next level. So NFL is a very playoff driven sport. There's only so many week, regular season games. To me, he hasn't gotten to the big spot and he certainly hasn't played exceptionally well. So can you really call yourself the best player in the league that way?
Like I said, it's the NFL and he's a quarterback. So yeah. And then I'm glad that you said it that way. Let me ask you this. You got Josh Allen. Mm-hmm. That has won at least one MVP. Joe Burrow, that has actually gone to a Super Bowl and lost. How many between the three of them? They have no NFL championships between them.
Correct.
So, what is actually the difference between them?
But again, at the very least, you could say they have some pelts on what's his name? Josh Allen has at least gotten to AFC Championship games and played exceptionally well.
Yeah, I believe that Lamar Jackson also made it to an AFC Championship.
But he has never played exceptionally well in any of those games. I'm not saying that this team's
a fact, but my point being is that he's made it.
Yeah.
At least he's made it. Is he the best out of the three? No, I would want either Josh Allen or Burrow before him. Is he a very good quarterback in the NFL? Maybe not a throwing quarterback, but he's an exciting player. So I would find it hard to say that, no, I wouldn't want him on my team. I mean, being a Jet fan, I would take him tomorrow if they could get him. But
let me see how many in his playoff career. Let's see. Let me see. Can I get that? Advanced passing, adjusted passing, fantasy, rushing and receiving. I'm trying to see what he's done playoff wise. Scoring, snap counts. Has not.
Yeah, and you should maybe be able to get that answer.
I'm in the Football Reference. It usually gives you all that kind of shit. Let's see. Regular season. Okay, playoffs. Hold on a second. There you go. So let's see. I don't think he's been to a championship game. He's been 2018 games. He went to one game, got eliminated. 2019, one game, got eliminated. 2020 played in 2 games. 2023, 2 games. 2024, 2 games. So to me, that's wild card playoff round. I don't think they made it to an AFC Championship game, but I could be mistaken. I could definitely be mistaken. I think that was me. So anyway, I just think his status is overrated. To be honest with you, I think he's a hell of an athlete. I think he runs the ball well and fits into today's modern NFL, Jeff. But as a quarterback, I would not put him in my top 5. He would not make my top 5. He'd have to make 6. because I don't know if I have anybody else once I got past, Allen, Burrow, Mahomes. I would put Goff ahead of him. I'd take Goff over him.
I have his. I got his playoff stats.
Yeah, what do you got?
All right, in 8 games, he's 146 at 241 for a 60.6% completion percentage.
Not bad.
He's thrown for 1,753 yards, a 7.3 yard average, 10 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. He's been sacked 29 times. And then as far as his rushing goes, 94 carries for 641 yards, 3 touchdowns. He's fumbled twice. He's rushed for 3 touchdowns. I mean, listen, I mean, is he the greatest? No. I don't know if it doesn't give what games he played in that order. Look it up that much. But I know what you're saying. I seen him flat in the playoffs.
Yeah. That's my point. So, listen, again, what your original comment about he will get the big money because kind of like what the Dallas Cowboys did with Dak Prescott, it's who else am I going to get? I got to overpay, and they will overpay because they're in the middle of trying to keep their run alive. And
well, let me ask you this. Okay.
Sure.
Let's say that the Giants quarterback. First of all, when does he enter free agency?
I don't know the answer to that. I don't know if he has.
Let's say that he has another this year and next year.
Okay.
He'll still be young, and let's say that the Giants, both Wilson and Jameis Winston are gone, and now the team is all, Jackson Dart, and he's awful. He's bad. He makes Daniel Jones look like fucking Joe Montana.
Okay.
Now all of a sudden, here he comes. Lamar Jackson is free. He's a free agent. Baltimore is just like, we're not paying him. He's going to want too much. And now the Giants sign him. And whatever the contract is, somebody, okay, there you're free agent after 2027. So for 2028, somebody is going to sign him. That's all there is to it. And somebody is going to pay because they're going to hope that he ignites their team. And it's just, listen, who is it? Brock Osweiler. I keep going back to him. Look at the money that he got. And even worse, at least he played a few games. Who was that kid or that guy that was on the Raiders? He played like 1 game at the end of the year, and he had a real good game. And then next thing you know, in free agency, he was like the next big thing. Not McLaughlin. I can't remember what his name was. Not Tim Boyle. I can't remember what his name was, but he played like 1 game, and everybody went mental over him. Like he's going to get money. And he ended up getting signed. He was playing for Green Bay, I believe. It was Green Bay.
Okay.
I can't remember his name. Shit. Well, I know that he played, like he got signed to a rather large deal, played once, and then that was it. By the end of his contract ended, he was done.
Yeah.
So people are gonna pay him because that's just how it is. It's
he's in the middle of a $260 million contract he signed in 2023, and they're talking about an extension to paying him anywhere from $65 to $70 million per year.
Yeah, it's insane.
Which would reflect 34.56% of the salary cap. I mean, that's just insanity.
Yeah.
And again, this isn't Patrick Mahomes where you'd say, hey, this guy's won 3 Super Bowls and he's been to 5 Super Bowls.
Yes. I'm sorry. Yes, Cole. That's right. Matt Flynn. That's right.
There you go. Good call.
They went mental over him. He played 1 good game. I think he played 4. He ended up signing with the Raiders. I think he played that game against the Raiders or something, because I remember the Jets hoping the Jets were going to grab him, because, this is what everybody does in the NFL. Somebody goes out and has a good game. That's it. Then the next big prospect.
Look at those guys for Brock Osweiler and the other guy. They got huge contracts that because they had a couple decent games on the road to Super Bowl where they got benched for a decrepit Peyton Manning who could barely throw the ball 10 yards.
Nick Foles, you're talking about?
Me?
Yeah.
No, I'm talking about Brock Osweiler, and there was another. I don't know if it was Trevor Siemian. There were 2 guys on that team.
Trevor Siemian played with the Broncos, and he played all right for a year or so. but he never really caught on with anybody else. But there was somebody else when what the fuck, Carson Wentz got hurt, and when Nick Foles stood up and ended up winning the Super Bowl.
Yep.
Is that who you're thinking about?
Maybe, but it happens all the time. That a guy goes out there. Look at Nick Foles. He had really one great run in his career, won the Super Bowl, and got himself a huge deal that he never lived up to. So that shit happens all the time. Jeff, give me the top 5 least desirable places to play in the NFL. I have the poll done by the NFL. Give me the top 5. Doesn't have to be in any special order. Just give me the top 5 least desirable places.
It's got to be Cleveland. Cleveland's got to be on the list.
Yep, that's right. Go ahead.
Carolina.
Okay, good. It's not on the list, but I'll put you on the list. Go ahead.
I'm surprised. The Jets.
That is correct.
Maybe the Giants.
That is correct.
Wow.
Two more. Yeah.
That's not good. Jacksonville.
Nope.
No. Okay, so I got one more.
Yeah, you get one more pick, and I'll give you the 2 that you're missing. If you're missing. Now, I would tell you that these 2 would be surprises to me. Not terrible teams, not great lately, but not terrible, and 2 very well-known cities.
I got to say Las Vegas.
No, surprisingly, no.
That was my 5. I got 3 out of the 5, right?
You did get 3 out of 5. The other 2 were New Orleans and Miami.
I actually said the Saints, but you were okay.
And then Miami.
Miami. Wow.
Yes.
Why?
Then the rumor is that the coach is so screwed up and they have no direction. The culture's bad. There was a whole big thing about the veterans almost mutinying last year. It's really so. It seems like right now in Miami, it's least desirable because guys don't want to go play there. Now you go play in Florida. There's no
there's no income tax.
There's no income tax. Yep. Yeah. So the Dolphins. That's what it's. Again, this is not me. New York Browns, Rams, Saints. Yeah, you would be.
If you think about it, the Dolphins have had an horrendous record for more often
they
than
have not won a playoff game since 2000.
Well, never mind not winning a playoff game. How many playoff games have they actually got to since?
Very true. There's been a lot of there's been a lot of turmoil over there. There's since Don Shula left, it has not been. They had a couple decent years under Jimmy Johnson, but
Frank Jeffrey is the only one in the world that makes up scenarios that I think, like in his head, to get the Dolphins into the playoffs and that they could win. Like, we're going to trade our 4th, 5th, and 6th round pick and our 1st round of next year for a guard, and that's going to put us over the edge so that we can take him and trade him, get 3 punters and a running back, and we'll be in the Super Bowl in 4 years.
Yeah, I listen. I think Miami. Again, I think they had a chance. If Tua had stayed healthy, there was a chance they could have made did some damage. Their defense was pretty good.
It's true, bro. I know it's true.
But it's just odd to me that they can't put together a great team there. And again, it starts with the head coach. I think he's an overrated coach. I think that that offense doesn't work, and they have a quarterback there who is not great running and has a terrible arm and cannot stay healthy. And they just
at least a year to 2 years without getting, killed. His brain has to have been healed up by some.
Let's hope. I mean, at this point, we'll see. I mean, they have 2 of the better wide receivers. They have a pretty good running game. Their offense is not terrible. Their defense, I don't know about this year. We'll see. They lost their starting safety. I think they traded one of their better defensive linemen. So this is a team that, I don't know how good defensively they're going to be. And they're in a very tough division. I mean, the Jets are a better team. New England might be a little better this year. Obviously, Buffalo is still Buffalo in a very tough conference. I don't see Miami making headway. I thought maybe last year might have been a year that they would do that, and they didn't. So I don't have any confidence this year in Miami, and I think they're going to need wholesale changes.
Well, we will find out. I mean, Tyreek Hill is a little bit older.
Yeah.
That running back. I know they went through a couple different running backs.
Yes, they have, and they do run the ball well in calls, right? They have a good offense. I like Rosicki, the tight end. They have a good offense. They can score points. Not without Tua, who, while I don't think is a great quarterback, is better than was Skylar Thompson and anybody else they had. So but defensively this year, and now they're desperately trying to trade Jalen Ramsey. That's going to be an interesting team and an interesting division because, what are the Jets this year? Are they going to be better? Obviously, they're hopefully be better than they were last year. New England people think with Vrabel there now and Drake May in his second year that they're going to make some headway, and everybody's waiting for Buffalo to take a step back. I think if you ask anybody, everybody's pick would be Miami to finish fourth. So we'll see.
You know what? Wherever they finish, I know this much. I don't see anybody in that division unseating the Bills this year. I don't see it happening anytime soon.
I agree with you. I think it's all baby steps. Listen, we've talked about this. When it comes to the Jets, there's still a lot of questions on the offense. Who's the second receiver? What will Justin Fields bring to the offense that he couldn't bring to anybody else's offense?
Everybody thinks that this is the year that he takes a step forward.
No,
I'm sorry. I don't know, man.
Again, I've said it twice, 3 times on the show. I'll say it again. If they use him properly, if they feed the ball to the 2 running backs, let Fields run and throw only when they want to, not when they have to, they could be a pretty good offense. The key to that team, though, is can the defense come back from the abyss they were last year? Sauce Gardner was terrible last year. They don't have DJ Reed this year. There's better. They're better on the defensive line. The kid. What's his name? Is it McDonald?
Yeah, the defensive lineman.
Yeah, he came around at the end of the year. You still have Williams. Quincy Williams is took a huge step the last couple years. So they may be a better defense, and they need to be. If they're not a better defense, the Jets will finish no better than third in that division. That's my opinion.
If they're lucky.
Yeah. So again, we don't know what New England is, but we'll save a lot of this for right before the season. We come back for the training camp show. We'll break down the divisions. We'll break down a lot of new stories. There's a lot of interesting things this year, Jeff, going into this offseason. I mean, is Mike Tomlin coaching for his job this year? I mean, the guy's never had a losing season, but he hasn't done anything. Let's put it this way. He's been very mediocre. Is that his fault? Is that the general manager's fault? Is it a combination? Do they need a new voice in the locker room? Is it the quarterback play? That's an interesting. What happens in Cincinnati this year? Do they rebound from a terrible last year? And what happens to Kansas City? I mean, Kansas City had a terrible showing in the Super Bowl. They're another year older, and they really, to me, have not gotten better.
I can't, I can't knock them out. I can't say that they're not good. I just can't. They've got too much going for them on their side. It just.
I agree with you. I agree. Somebody's got to be better to knock them out. I think you'll see the same Kansas City. They'll lose a couple of games. They'll win a few games that they shouldn't. They'll be in the mix. I don't think their division's gotten all that much better. I think Denver's a little better. Maybe a second year with Harbaugh and the Chargers will be better. But Justin Herbert to me has underachieved the last few years.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting, and we'll get to a lot more of that come end of July when the training camps kick up, and we'll talk about the different divisions and some of the big stories. But if you're a Jet fan, I think this is one of those off seasons you just don't know. You just don't. You really. I mean, every year we say we don't know. This year, I really don't know what to make of the Jets. And I don't know if that's, we still don't know what the new coach is going to be. Is he a good X's and O guy? Is Justin Fields going to take a step forward? He hasn't done it yet. I mean, he got run out of Chicago. He got shut. He sat down behind Russell Wilson for the playoff run, and they lost 5 straight games to end the season. So who knows what we're going to get out of them? Yes, I know. You got Bo. I know.
Body odor.
Yeah. Anyway, Hard Rocket Sports, Ed Chef, and I'm Tom. We're here for another hour, maybe a little less. We got a couple more things to talk about. Then we're going to do our WWF era versus era, and then when we come, and then we'll end the show after that. I do want to get to right now, Jeff, a little bit of the. Did you see the trailer for the Ozzy Osbourne and Black Sabbath final show and the live stream that they now have?
Yes, I'm definitely getting the live stream.
What's up, there, Louis Pica?
Yes, hello, Louis. How are you? I saw the trailer.
Yep, me too.
And, it's going to be an exciting show. It's going to be a good show.
Yeah. Now, I was surprised by a couple things. One, it's hosted by Jason Momoa, which I thought was an odd.
Really?
Yeah, Jason Momoa will be hosting. Which to me, I expected to be Eddie Trunk because he seems to be everywhere. I expected it to be what's his name from the Foo Fighters.
I know who the drummer.
Yeah,
the guitar player that sings.
Guitar player now. Yeah,
the old drummer for Nirvana.
Correct. Dave Grohl. So I expected it to be one of those two. It's actually Jason Momoa, and who I know is a big metal fan and a guitar player and all that. I've seen
July
it all.
5th, call. July 5th.
Yes, July 5th. So I will be away. I will definitely be getting that live stream. So you get the live stream. Starts at 3:00 in the afternoon here. I think it's 3:00 in the afternoon here. I don't know if it's 3:00 in the afternoon there because I know it's a 5 or 6 hour difference. So I don't know if that means you get it 9:00 in the morning here or 3:00 here and they started at 9:00 there. I have to do a better job and check that. But you also get a 48-hour repeating of it. So if you miss it, your DVR it plays there and you can pick it up. But some of the other things, there's first off, obviously you get the final show with Ozzy singing and the original band back there. Now I did not hear how many songs they're doing or what the set list would be. Have you heard any of that stuff?
No, but I think it's supposed to be like 5 songs or something like that. It's not a lot.
No, well, I mean, Ozzy can
small set.
Yeah, Ozzy cannot. Let's see, with access to the Raw live stream from 3 p.m. on July 5th. So I don't know if that's 3 p.m. New York time or their time, but either way, yeah. So I would imagine Ozzy's got Parkinson's. He can barely stand up at this point. Although Sharon did say, his wife said, but it didn't affect his voice. I'm going, please. I wish it would have affected his voice. Please, we could get some good songs out of it. But all joking aside,
voice has been affected for years.
Yeah, holy cow! But anyway, so I would imagine it's just stuff. And then there's all sorts. I believe there's a bunch of musicians. In addition, there will be performances by a super group of musicians. Do you know this lineup, Jeff?
I know some of the bands. Alice in Chains is going to be there. Hailstorm, Pantera. Is Metallica on there?
I thought so, but there's a super group of musicians that include Duff McKagan, Slash, Billy Corgan, Fred Durst, KK Downing, Jakey Lee, Wolfgang Van Halen, and Tom Morello. So these guys will, I guess, be playing a whole bunch of Sabbath and Ozzy songs along the way. So I was a little surprised by the list. One, Jakey Lee being there, I thought was a surprise. I thought there was a lot of animosity, but I thought that was pretty cool. No, what's his name? I did not see the other guitar player from Ozzy.
Zach?
Yeah, no Zach Wilde. I don't see him on the list.
Well, he's going to be in there with Pantera. He'll be there playing.
Oh, okay. But again, okay. So I would have thought, okay, that's is Pantera. So I guess all these other bands are playing songs. I think so it's Sabbath, Ozzy Osbourne, Metallica, Guns N' Roses, Slayer, Pantera, Gojira, Hailstorm, Alice in Chains, Lamb of God, Anthrax, and Mastodon.
Wow.
It's a very yeah. So I don't know how long. I mean, it must be starting 3:00 out there, because if it started 9:00 at night, I mean, how long could this thing go? 6 hours. So it may be starting 3:00 in England, for all I know, so which would be about 9:00 or so in the morning here. So just check your thing. I also didn't see the cost of this. I got to figure it's at least $49.95. I would think, but I could not find a cost for this. Do you have any idea what this
I
cost
think
is?
it's $55 or $65. You get a T-shirt.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I think it's $40, and you just get the concert, no shirt.
Okay.
Something like
Yeah,
that.
I mean, yeah. So, I mean, I would say, first off, did you know Ozzy got hurt his spine in a quad bike accident in 2003? Did you know that? I did not know that.
I gotta grab something to drink. I'll be right back. Keep going.
Go ahead. But yeah, so I mean, if you're a metal fan, I'm not the biggest Sabbath fan, but this is the end of Sabbath. I will be away, but I will make sure that I pay for this and I will check it out. I would like to have seen some other bands. I get it, Mastodon. Like where's some of the other bands? I mean, where's Iron Maiden? I mean, I know there's some friction between Sharon and Bruce, so that probably eliminated Iron Maiden. But the guys from Priest. I mean, there's some other people probably deserve to be. Again, I know Zakk Wylde is going to be playing with Pantera. Although, did I see Pantera on that list? Pantera is not on the list of bands included. So I know you guys keep saying Pantera, but Sabbath, Ozzy, Metallica, Guns N' Roses. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Pantera's. I apologize. It's there after Slayer. So anyway, it's interesting. I think it's cool. I will get the live stream. I'm sure all you guys, I know Frankie will. And to me, it's music history. I mean, this is, this is something that's once in a lifetime. Obviously, this should be it for all of those guys. And you get to see the original band back together. When was the last time the original band played? Was it for the 13 album? Were they all out playing together?
For the 13 album, there were talk of them all recording the 13 album together. And then I don't know what happened from there because I know the guy from Audio Slave and Rage Against the Machine played drums on the album.
Right.
Somebody else actually toured the album. But I forget what happened. When they were signing the contract, Bill Ward felt as though he wasn't getting the right money, and Black Sabbath said that he wasn't in shape to play.
Yes.
So, but yet here they are again,
Well, listen, if I will give them credit, like this is what Kiss should have done. This is what some of these bands who have not played with the original band should do for the fans and for themselves. I mean, these guys are going back home. This is obviously the last time they're going to play together, hopefully. But this is to me, to be able to see a 5-song set with the original members of the band, I think it's pretty cool and something. And Frankie says it's $29.99. It's 3 p.m. here. That's what it's 3 p.m. here and 10 a.m. there. No, Frankie, it's the other way around. They're ahead of time. You go back the other way, like California's 3 hours behind us. They're ahead. They're ahead 5 hours. That's why football games start 9:30 in the morning here, because it's 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon there. So it's not 3 p.m. here. Yes, it's the other way. So it's 10 a.m. here. It starts, but you got it for 48 hours. So, but so to me, I'm guessing, Jeff, the other bands are all playing Sabbath or Ozzy songs, correct? They're not. Pantera's not playing Pantera songs, no.
I think from what I understand, they'll be playing like 1 or 2 Sabbath songs, but they're playing their own. I saw an interview with the singer for Hailstorm. And she had said what songs that her band were going to play, but it was like nothing like oh wow, I can't wait to see that. It was I don't want to say it was an obscure song. I don't remember what they were.
Well, you figure they're passing, so there's 7 or 8 bands, so they're all going to do, let's say, 2 songs, and Sabbath's doing 5 songs. So to me, and then I'm sure the super group is going to be doing a mix of Ozzy and Ozzy solo, but see, now if they're doing Ozzy solo and Sabbath stuff, why wouldn't they be able to do? Maybe you think maybe they're doing some Geezer solo band stuff as well?
No.
Yeah.
Definitely not. That stuff is horrendous.
5 songs. Give me the 5 songs. I'm going to write them on a piece of paper. I want to see how close. Say it's 65 with the shirt. Yeah, I'm not paying $40 for the shirt. I can only imagine what it looks like. Give me the 5 songs that you would like to see them play, or you think they're going to play.
Or like to see play, or what I think they're going to play.
You know what? Let's do what you think they're going to play. I think that's more interesting because the other one is different.
I think they're going to end with Paranoid.
I would agree with that. Okay.
They're either going to open up with Black Sabbath or War Pigs.
Okay.
Okay. So that's where are we going with 5 songs for them?
Yep. Give me 5 songs. So I would say Black Sabbath opens, Paranoid closes.
Okay. I think they're going to do Children of the Grave.
Okay.
I would love to see them do like Sweet Leaf or Snowblind, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're going to do Into the Void.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Iron Man. They may fuck us and play all shit like that. Iron Man, War Pigs, Paranoid.
I think that's where it goes. I'd be honest with you. I think Frankie's right. I think you're right. I think you're going to hear the bigger songs.
They're not going to do Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath, Frank, because Ozzy can't sing that no more.
Yeah. So, but I think it's interesting. You know, I think it's Black Sabbath opens and Paranoid closes, and what the other 3 songs in the middle of that could vary. But I think I would be shocked if you didn't see War Pigs. I would be very, very surprised if those 3 songs.
Listen, you may see Black Sabbath, War Pigs, Iron Man, Paranoid, and maybe Children of the Grave. You know, you're going to see the big ones. That's all I can say.
Yeah, I agree. I think those, and then the other bands will be playing. You know, now the question is, does Jake Lee play his own stuff? Does he play Bark at the Moon and stuff from that album as part of the super group? I think he has to, right?
Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to get him play his own.
Yeah, I mean, but there are going to be somebody playing the Randy era stuff. He could be playing some Randy era stuff. I'm sure he's going to be doing more than one song, but I'll look forward to it. Sounds like it's going to be an all-day thing. I mean, I would imagine this is probably a 5 or 6 hour show with everything else. The question I have is when does Sabbath go on? Are they the last band? Are they going on at 9, 10 o'clock at night?
I would think they have to be, yeah.
I would say, right? Because to me, you know, one of the things that Sharon said in the article was that Ozzy never had the chance on his last show to do the old famous "Good night, I love you," whatever his. Yeah, I don't know, Frank. That's a good question because I out of all those people, I didn't see a true singer in there. I mean, there's guys who sing in that crowd. You know, there's guys who sing in their bands probably.
Fred Durst's name.
Fred Durst, but do we count Fred Durst as a singer? I certainly don't.
I don't understand how, if he's within the supergroup, how they could consider it a supergroup.
Yeah, and the funny part, when I saw Ozzy live solo, I told you I went to the Dysfunctional Family Picnic, and Limp Bizkit was part of that. And Sharon pulled the plug on Limp Bizkit in the middle of their set. And, you know, it caused a whole big uproar, but she was pissed off at Fred Durst, had talked some shit about them. And in the middle of their set, she pulled the plug. So I was shocked to see him in there. I guess obviously they must have made up. But yeah, I mean, was Billy Corgan, did he sing?
For Smashing Pumpkins, yeah.
Yeah, Wolfgang, I think he sings. I don't know if he's singing in this, but yeah, to Frankie's point, I don't know if there's other people involved in this. Like, am I going to have to listen to Axl Rose singing some songs? And, you know.
Sadly.
Yes. But my first thought was, I know Jeff wouldn't travel to go there, but he's got to get the live stream. He's got to see the live stream of this.
I get the live stream. Don't you worry about that.
Yeah, so it should be interesting. And to me, it's one of the last big, you know, the only one I was thinking about today, like who's the other guy who could do a huge live stream for their final concert that people around the world. I mean, this is a big deal. Ozzy's not only big in metal and music, but pop culture. So I think this will be a big event. The only other one I thought of was Paul McCartney. If Paul McCartney called it a day and said, I'm going to do one concert back in Liverpool, I could see them doing a live stream and getting millions and millions of people to see it.
Oh, you would listen, if you think you're going to get a lot of people to see the Black Sabbath one, forget it.
Yeah, see, I think you will. I honestly think you will because
you're gonna, but I mean, compared to if Paul McCartney did it, forget it.
Oh, no, that's not my point. Not that I think Sabbath's going to outdo that. No, my point is how many other people or bands could do this and draw that big an interest. Maybe the Stones, at this point, I don't know. But how many people could have this kind of show? All these different bands, super groups, live streams. I think this is going to be a pretty big event especially for us metalheads. Who else could do this? And to me, right off the bat, it was McCartney. Could it be Queen?
There's not many left.
I couldn't. I love Maiden. I couldn't see Maiden doing this. I'm not sure I could see, Queen at this point without Freddie being this big of an event to shut it down. I saw Elton John's last concerts and it was great, but it wasn't this worldwide, event. This is an event. So how many people could have an event? I do. I do agree. I think the Stones could probably be that other, but McCartney would be a guy to do it. Jeff, can you think of anybody else?
Not really, because who else generates interest like this?
Nah, Metallica. No. You know what, Frankie? The problem for Metallica is a lot of metalheads don't even like Metallica anymore. That's the problem, and they don't have that reverence that that Ozzy and Sabbath have. To me, if Metallica was doing this, I would never watch it. I would not pay $40-$50 to watch Metallica do a live stream on their last ever show. It just wouldn't. I don't know about Jeff. I don't know about you, Frankie, but I would.
No, I couldn't be bothered with that, to be honest with you. I really.
Yeah. So to me,
I haven't even listened to the last 2 Metallica albums that came out.
Yeah,
seasons, 72 seasons, whatever.
72 seasons, I did not listen to. Yeah, I did not listen to 72 seasons. But again, I think there's a few people left in our world. Could there be a Bruce Springsteen one? I don't know. I wouldn't watch it. I don't think it's that big a deal.
Frankie said that. Look how much the Big Four made. You're right. Look at the Big Four. How many years ago that they came out?
But it was only 8. But they did 8 shows. It was, this wasn't like this worldwide phenomenon. They were 8 shows. And again, they played stadiums. I got it, but it took 4 bands. I'm talking one group who could elicit this kind of attention. One group, one person. Not the Big Four. Took 4 major bands, if you want to count Anthrax as a major band.
Who was actually in the Big Four? It was Metallica, Megadeth, Slayer, and who was the 4th band?
Anthrax. Wasn't it Anthrax or Exodus? One of those 2.
Anthrax.
Anthrax, yeah.
And I can tell you right now, Slayer's not playing anymore. And probably who the fuck knows with them, with Kerry King being an idiot.
I think I heard something that Slayer was playing some shows.
Yeah, I don't know of one that actually happened yet. I know.
No, it hasn't happened yet, but I believe they are planning to do some shows. Again, the only other one that maybe could have got away with that and done this would have been Kiss. And even Kiss's last one, I watched it, but it wasn't the worldwide phenomenon that this is going to be. Again, at this point, whoever's left, Stones, maybe McCartney for sure. If McCartney ever announced his retirement, says I'm playing one show in Liverpool, maybe even got, he's playing on top of Abbey Road one last time. Maybe Ringo pops in for a couple of tunes. That would be a huge event. Yes, Frank, you're right. Chris did blow it. But, right, Jeff, I mean, to me, McCartney retiring and not playing anymore and his last show would be a huge event.
Oh, yeah, it would have to be, man. It would have to be.
Yeah, so
I think that may end up being a 2 or 3 day thing. It's not just going to be a 1-show deal, man.
It's very possible. Yeah, to me, he's probably the last of the iconic because even the Stones aren't iconic. Nobody's gonna ever think of Mick Jagger the way they do of the Beatles or Paul McCartney.
They do.
Yeah, I disagree. I don't think you're gonna elicit if the Stones announced they were finally gonna retire. Do you think it would be as big as McCartney retiring?
No, but what's going to happen with the Stones is all of a sudden one day they're just going to say this is our last show. That's it. Or they already played their last show and you don't know about it yet because they're just not going to make another show. They're not going to do another show. I don't see. And also the difference is that a band like Black Sabbath is going to play once in Birmingham.
Yes.
A band like the Rolling Stones or Paul McCartney, they have to do a farewell tour if their health allows it. They're not going to be able to play just one show, You know what I mean? The Who
Yeah.
has done farewell tours for years. The Scorpions have done it. The Stones have done it too. But this is a band that, you know, you're not going to just see them play one show and that's that. Those bands are too big. Bands like Guns N' Roses, AC/DC, they may get a one-off show and that's that. But, you know, they're not. There's no need for these bands to play no more. Nobody wants to see them.
No, I agree with you. I'm with you on that part.
Look at that list. Do you have the list of the bands that are playing for this show?
For the Sabbath show,
Yes.
I just got rid of, but it's Slayer, Mastodon.
Slayer. Okay, Slayer. I can see that. Okay. Mastodon. I only know a couple songs from Mastodon. I'm not a huge fan.
Hailstorm.
Hailstorm. That's like early metal.
Yep. Gojira.
A lot of people like them, and it's Gojira.
Gojira.
Yeah, a lot of people like them. They're kind of like I don't want to say a thrash band, but like not regular metal. I'm not. I never really gave them a chance. What I heard, I didn't like too much, but they're not for me.
Yeah, Guns N' Roses.
No, thank you.
Yeah. So and then there's another band in there, Pantera.
You know how I feel about
Yeah,
that.
I got you. Well, let me ask you a question. When they're playing, are you walking out of the room when Pantera is playing, or will you listen to their set?
No, because I actually found something out that has softened my stance, even though I'm still against it, has softened my stance somewhat.
Really? You're
Yes.
softening your stance on that the fact that they're out there doing this?
Yes.
Okay, what's
Yes.
softening your stance? I'm
I
curious.
will never go see them live. I'll
Right.
never spend the money on it, but it softened my stance, which was that Dimebag wanted and was hoping to do this one last tour that he was on and was hoping to start getting Pantera back together. And he was on board for a Pantera reunion.
Really?
Yeah. So hearing that, now not knowing exactly how true it was, I didn't want to, dive too much into it.
Yeah.
But knowing that the thought of, okay, let's do this was there, it made me soften my hate against what they're doing now. I still would not go see them or support them financially, but I will watch some videos when they show. But to me, it's still not right. But it's not as not right as it once was.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Fair enough. I mean, like I said, I am curious to watch a lot of the bands because I don't know a lot of them. I know a little bit about Hailstorm. I've seen some of that stuff. I'm not a fan of Guns N' Roses. I think they're one of the most overrated band in history. Great first album, and very little after that of substance. But it's Black Sabbath. I'll watch it. I'm going to pay for it. Not sure I'm going to pay $60-something to get a T-shirt, but I guess I'll have to check out see what the T-shirt looks like beforehand before I decide to get the commemorative T-shirt. But I will be paying the $29.99 for the live stream. So we'll have more on that when we tune back in on the 17th. But I would say that'll something that'll I'm sure Jeff and myself and a few others will be going back and forth during the thing, and it's a whole day event. Jeff, you're gonna have to get your popcorn ready. And are you able? Last one. Are you able to sit for 6 hours and watch that whole thing if that's what it takes?
Definitely fucking not.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're not me. I do it in a heartbeat. But to me, a couple peach diet peach Snapples and some decent food, and I'll be locked into the AC unit. And although I got my parents with me, so I'm gonna have a hard time convincing my mom to watch the Sabbath final show. So I'll have to figure out some way to do it. But that's I'll probably catch the replay. Anyway,
drop them off.
Yeah. So anyway. So this is something I know you and Frankie speaking about this week, and I thought it was an interesting conversation. Can you see this well enough?
I have it on my phone here.
Okay, so I didn't know how to go about this. I don't know if it's who's better, who's bigger. I didn't know how to go about this. So I'm open to suggestions on how do we determine what our stance on this. Like, to me,
I think we have to go a couple different ways with this, to be honest with you. I think we have to definitely do, if this was a match. This is a card that's happening.
Okay.
All right. And I think that it should as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 matches, 9 matches, whatever it is.
Yep.
We definitely have to talk about them. I think we have to rate the match of,
Okay.
when we talk about like who's going to win, rate the match. Like, is it a good match? And, like, is it what would you have rather seen in there? And because some of these are good. Some of these are really good.
Well, let me ask you a question. What is the best match, just wrestling wise, a little promo stuff? What's the best match on this card?
I'm going to go with Ricky Steamboat.
I agree. I think that's the best wrestling you would see on this card. I mean, both of those guys are great technical wrestlers, and I think that would be a great match to actually watch.
I think there's a lot of good matches, man, and I'm looking forward to this because.
All right. So we're going to start at the bottom and work our way up, all right, if you don't mind. I'm going to start at the bottom and work our way up the card, figuring that the Hulk Hogan, Steve Austin would be the feature match of the night, right? That's where So we'll start off with the Rockers versus the Hardy Boys in an interesting match. Now, I always liked the Rockers because they were very athletic and all that. I don't know too much about the Hardy Boys. So I'm going to go Rockers on this one because I kind of, and, obviously, what's his name became a big wrestler on his own. But to me, I would take the Rockers in this one as better wrestlers and as more fun to watch.
I'm going to go with you on that one, man. I'm going to go with the Rockers too, only because of the notoriety and the level that Shawn Michaels did go up to. The Hardy Boys, Frank, they're athletic, but you want to know something? They didn't have long sustained success without one another. Shawn Michaels has been more of a singles wrestler, had more success as a singles wrestler than he did as a low to mid card with the Rockers. And personally, I just think that the Rockers would have been able to beat the Hardy Boys. If they were to wrestle.
I agree.
That's my thought on it, man. I'm going to go with the Rockers also. I'm guessing Frankie definitely hates us right now and is definitely going Hardy Boys. But
he did. He went Hardy Boys.
Yeah.
So now the next match, I got to be honest with you. I have never been a Mick Foley fan. I think he's one of the most overrated wrestlers. I think the guy's a hell of a stuntman. I've seen the guy torture and punish himself. I love his role on the new WWE stuff with the lost treasures and all of that. The fact that the guy's still running around with no teeth in his mouth, he's got to have some bucks. And you're right, Marty Jannetty wasn't great, but with the Rockers, he was pretty good. So I got to give the nod to Jake Roberts in this one, who I never thought was a great wrestler, but not a bad wrestler. I just never understood the whole Mankind thing. If he wasn't getting thrown off a ladder into a table of tacks, the guy couldn't wrestle.
Well, he was wrestling in a completely different time in wrestling, where wrestling was not wrestling. It was sports entertainment. They said it right in the title. It was never wrestling. First of all, I think that this is a horrendous match.
Yes, I agree.
I do not want to see Jake Roberts versus Mankind. I just don't. I think it's a bad match. I don't like it. I'm going to take Mankind over Jake Roberts because it's not that Jake was boring. I mean, Jake wrestled as he did at the time.
Yeah.
I don't know if Jake would have been able to wrestle in today's day and age and time, but Jake was more of a dark, sinister character, or at least he wanted you to think he was.
He was a great promo guy, right? And not a terrible technical wrestler because he had some moves, but boring matches. And when your whole thing revolves around a snake, it's just, all right, I can go see Alice Cooper wrestle. Yeah, I think this is a terrible match.
He didn't. No, if you've seen Jake Roberts, you knew how the match was going to end.
Absolutely, 100%. You
with the snake in it, and the snake was coming out, and it just wasn't. I mean, did I like him? He was a bad guy most of the time, and then he turned good and everything. But it's not for me. Not in this. I'm going to go with Mankind, and I'm still going to stick that it was a bad matchup.
Okay, and I'm with you. I think that's to me the worst the worst bout on this card is that one. But all right, the next one, Demolition. I never was a big fan of Demolition. Brothers of Destruction. I think you got to go Brothers of Destruction on this one. I never thought much of the Demolition guys, except when they had when you started bringing the Machine into some of that stuff, and
well, the Machines were different tag teams.
Yeah, I got it, but
but some of the Demolition were the Machines. Actually,
that's
right?
my point. Yes, that's my point. So, but I'll go Brothers of Destruction. I just don't think the Demolition was any good.
Machines, man. Now I'm thinking Andre the Giant talking in a Japanese accent at like 8 feet tall.
It's the best thing ever.
Bobby Heenan going off about it. It was great stuff.
Still the best thing ever. Giant Machine was still the best, absolute best thing ever. So Jeff, which way you going with this one?
I'm with you, man. I got to go Brothers of Destruction, because they were likable characters. Demolition wasn't likable characters when they first started. You know what I mean? Neither was The Undertaker and Kane, but they were in the WWE for so long that they swapped sides back and forth, and they were both wrestling at a time where it didn't matter if you were good or bad, because there was no clear-cut good or bad at the time.
You could be bad from one show to the next.
I mean, basically who they wanted to, but I'm going to go. I think the Brothers of Destruction would have put on a better show.
100. Just the fact that it was those two guys. I mean, it's beyond it. Like I said, Frankie's right. That they are a cheap ripoff of the Legion of Doom and some of the other ones out there. So yeah, I'm with you guys. Brothers is the way to go. Again, back to this one. This to me should be the best match of the night. It's kind of like WrestleMania 3 when Steamboat and Randy Savage went at it. What to me was the best match of the night. Might have been the greatest wrestling match I've ever watched. There were bigger events. There were other more notable wrestling matches. To me, as a pure wrestling standpoint, there was very, very little I can think of ever better than that one. I'm going to go Ricky Steamboat, only because I think Ricky Steamboat was one of the most underrated wrestlers of his time. He really was. I mean, he's a great technical wrestler, great on the microphone, could pull off just about anything. And I don't think he was ever a heel, Jeff. I think he was always a babyface.
Always a good guy. Always a good guy. Yeah. And I remember when Kurt Angle started, I believe they tried to make him a good guy, and it just didn't work. Like his character was just rub people the wrong way and stuff, I guess. I'm gonna agree with you that it's definitely a good match.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna go with Kurt Angle only because of the more modern day character. He wrestled different. Ricky Steamboat would have put you in an arm bar and did real wrestling moves, where Kurt Angle had the ankle lock and a few other things, the angle slam.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't see him. I think that he was a little bit stronger than Ricky Steamboat. I got to go with Kurt Angle.
Okay, Frank, you got to pick in this one, Frankie. I'll give you a chance to get in on that one. Jeff and I split. I'm going Ricky Steamboat. The next one, I don't have much on D-Generation X, so I'm going to say
X. Is more of a wrestling wasn't as important to them as it was the Hart Foundation. DX was more, like shock value type stuff.
Okay.
I was never really a big fan of D-Generation X because I didn't like D-Generation X was the whole group of them.
Yes, I get it.
Michael was in there too. That's the New Age Outlaws with Triple H, and the whole bunch of them was doing D-Generation X. I just didn't like what they were. They were jerk off wise asses. I just wasn't for me.
Right.
I think that the Hart Foundation in a straight up wrestling match, I think the Hart Foundation would have definitely beat them.
Yeah, I think that
and Frank, yeah, you're right. The Harts have had no personality. You're 100% right. Bret Hart was always crying about something.
Yes,
but Jimmy Neidhart had that laugh, that manic laugh. He was strong. He was powerful. Bret Hart could do moves.
Oh, Bret Hart was one of the best technical wrestlers of all time.
Yeah.
I mean, no
And
doubt.
then you got Owen. Was that Owen?
Yeah.
Owen Hart with
Yes,
them?
Owen, yeah.
Other than Triple H, the New Age Outlaws didn't do much for me, man. I just didn't. I don't know. They just didn't do nothing for me, man.
I agree. We're going Hart Foundation on that one. He is a big crybaby now, Frankie, and I think he got screwed. The Montreal screw job. I think there's a lot of stuff that happened to Bret Hart, but a lot of Bret Hart's problems are Bret Hart, and I don't have any love for the guy. I would like to see him just kind of grow up and kind of enjoy his place in wrestling history, because the guy held every title. The guy did, he was heel, babyface, single wrestler, tag team wrestler. He was one of the greats. If you were gonna pick those guys from the 80s and say who he's every bit top 5 of that generation, Jeff. I mean,
Right, you're right. Shawn Michaels was in DX, but I'm just going by what they got in the picture. 3-man match, New Age Outlaws and Triple H versus the Hart Foundation and Owen Hart. That's what I'm basing my decision on. I don't know what you guys thinking.
Nope. Let's move up to Randy Savage versus Chris Jericho. And to me, I don't get this match. I mean, I think I kind of zoned out a little bit during the Jericho times, but to me, Randy Savage is one of the best wrestlers of all time. I mean, it's not even a comparison. He was a great technical wrestler, and probably top 2 or 3 on the microphone, doing promos and everything else. Yeah, Macho Man, to me, Jeff, this is a clear cut. Jericho shouldn't even be in this spot to me.
Well, no, don't sell Chris Jericho too short, man. I could look up when Chris Jericho first came out as Y2J and watch the promo. It's like a 7 or 8 minute promo, and The Rock is there.
Okay.
He comes out like a ball of fire. He's ripping people apart and everything else. And then The Rock put him in his place. But it was a great back and forth. I think more comparable than you realize.
You think?
There's 2 guys that started up their climb up the ladder in the WWE, at least, as Intercontinental champions, and each one was an Intercontinental champion several times and held the title for a while, and then they became main eventers and went on to win the WWE, WWF heavyweight championship and the titles. Do I think that Randy Savage was a better wrestler overall than Chris Jericho? I'd be stupid to say no. I think that he was, but I watched both of them wrestle, and I can't sell Chris Jericho short. I got to take Randy Savage in this one-on-one without a doubt, but Chris Jericho, he can't be sneezed at, man. He actually was a pretty decent wrestler, and Frankie hit it right on the head. He was a great character. His mic work was, my God, unbelievable, some of it.
All right, I'm going to have to do a little more research on Chris Jericho, but it's Randy Savage to me is one of the greats of all time. Again, another guy who deserves to be in the Mount Rushmore of 80s wrestling.
Frank, not for nothing, but I just saw that when you wrote about the Kiss concert. You know what, dude? And Tommy said it one time. He wouldn't want to meet certain people.
Oh, yeah.
Was it a perception he has of them? And if they ruined it, then it would kill years and years and years. Even though we're at our ages that we're at, it would kill years of what.
Oh, absolutely.
And a character, and it would just ruin it. It would like ruin a part of your life. And I agree with you, Tom. I wouldn't want to. Maybe I wouldn't want to fucking meet that guy like that.
Yeah, and like if I was going up to Gene Simmons or Paul Stanley or somebody in Kiss, I would almost expect them to be a dick to me, right? So if they were, I'd be like, all right, I knew what I was about to get. If I went up to Steve Harris and I introduced myself, or I went to say, hey, I'm a big fan, and he snubbed me or treated me like a dick, that would be a crusher to me, because I've loved Steve Harris for 40-something years. So I almost pray that a lot of the people that I won't use the word idolize, but some people that I've looked up to or admired or been huge fans of, I don't ever want to meet. Like, I don't want to. I met Wayne Gretzky. That couldn't have been a better guy. Just like the nicest human being you ever want to stand next to for 5 minutes.
Even if these guys win a rush, man, what does it take for you to say, if you go up to Steve Harris, or let's just use Steve Harris, and he comes off like a dick, What is it to say? You say, Steve, man, I've been a fan of your music since the first album. You guys are great, man. I fucking love it. My God, I'm pushing 60. I'm still a fan. What does it take for him to say, hey, guy, listen, man, I wish I could stay and talk to you. If you want to grab a picture real quick, let's do it. I'm sorry, I gotta go. I just can't. I'm sorry. I apologize. What does it take to do that? And just take 2 seconds out of your time. But then again, there comes the time where you know that these guys, they have to leave right now.
Yeah.
To be someplace else 5 minutes ago, they got to leave right now. And unfortunately, your paths crossed as they were going that way, and he couldn't spend much time with you.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. It does suck, but it happens, man.
Oh, absolutely. But again, there are guys that you just go, man, I hope he's not a dick because this guy's cool. Anyway,
I hear you, bro.
Yeah. So again, now let's move up to this. An interesting match. As far as popularity goes, you got to give it to The Rock. I mean, he's huge. Not only pop culture, all that stuff that goes with it. I mean, he's a great technical wrestler. Obviously, great on the mic. Roddy Piper to me was the best on the mic. I mean, there's just nobody. From Piper's Pit to all his WrestleMania stuff, his battles with Mr. T. Nobody was better on the mic than Roddy Piper, in my opinion. But having said that, I'd have a hard time going against The Rock in this one. Great wrestler, just as good, maybe a shade behind Roddy, in my opinion. But this is a tough one, Jeff. This is a great match and a tough pick.
I myself have to go Rock, man, because the next 4 wrestlers that we're dealing with now, Piper, The Rock, Steve Austin, and Hogan, they each had a hand. Even Jericho and Randy Savage to an extent, but the next 4 guys had a big hand from WrestleMania. And just taking the ball and just keep moving it and pushing it down the line.
Yeah,
you had Hogan, and it ran over into the Steve Austin era, which gave way to the Rock era, which Chris Jericho was part of there. And it doesn't matter if he was a great wrestler or not, bro. He was the Rock. The Rock. You know what I mean? You got Bono and Edge from YouTube, but The Rock.
Yeah.
Not to be confused with Rock, The Rock.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
listen,
I don't think any other wrestler that I ever seen could pull off what he did as a wrestler.
No, again, I am not a huge fan of his era wrestling. I love Roddy Piper. I mean, love Roddy Piper. I watch his stuff all the time. Again, I think, but again, if you add everything up, wrestling, mic work, fans, the whole bit, it's hard to go against The Rock in this one. I love Piper, and I'd love to pick him here. I got to go with The Rock. I just have to. So I get you. Yeah, and he was, Frankie. Roddy Piper was the best on the mic. Best. I loved Hogan stuff. There's a lot of guys in the newer age that are good on the mic. Nobody was better than Roddy Piper, but Rock was close and just was a bigger star, Jeff, no?
Rock was definitely a bigger star, but wrestling was also in a different position at that point in time, man. You remember that we're talking about certain guys in this contest here, or whatever you want to call it, that had the internet on their side.
Yeah.
Guys like Roddy Piper, Randy Savage to an extent, the Hart Foundation, Hogan. These are guys that didn't have the internet push.
Yeah.
And then you could go back and watch videos like I just told you, the video between Chris Jericho and The Rock when Y2J came out. You could go on YouTube and watch that for the next week straight. But it was just a different time in wrestling. It was completely different.
Well, let's get this question. Could wrestling have survived the early days with social media? And I mean this by all the kayfabe stuff, guys traveling together who weren't, who were supposed to be battling each other, could, doing the same show every night in a different city. Andre was actually slammed in the 70s. Could wrestling have gotten to where it was in today's day and age?
Definitely. You know why?
Yeah.
Because people are quick to forget. Okay?
I guess, but
You forget. And when some of the things that happen in wrestling, when your guy is babyface and the guy that you want to see win is down to one that has the belt, you'll see how fast you forget. Like,
but
he
think,
lost matches to him.
think about this though.
in a row.
I got it, but think about it. Like you, when we were watching Saturday wrestling, and let's say, I don't know, Hulk Hogan was beating the Sheik. They had already fought like 10 times, and Hogan beat him 10 times already. You know, we just happened to see that one match that they showed us.
You're right, but there was no belt involved at that point in time.
Again, that's the thing.
Nobody knew, and then all of a sudden, the Iranian wrestler, everybody fucking hated Iran. They still do.
Like, they think about it this way. You know, it's almost like today's day and age where, you know, years ago you would go to a concert, right? Like back in the 80s and 90s, and you go, man, I hope they're going to do this song. You know now, every single concert up to where you are now, exactly what set they're doing. So within a song or two, you know exactly what you're going to see before you go there. You know what I'm saying? So it's almost the same with the wrestling. Like, you can't pull off the things they did in the 80s today. So I don't know. I think it's a fair question to ask. I don't disagree with you. I'm just saying is I don't know if the mystery would have been as, you know, that you and I wouldn't have had that. It's not real, right? You know, then
no, I don't think that we would have thought of it that way. But you want to know something, dude? Those wrestling magazines from back in the fucking early to mid 80s.
Yeah.
You know, that was some serious shit, if you remember.
Yes,
that
I do. Yes.
Back then. And you had to go by what you read.
Yes.
And there was a lot of stuff that we didn't get to see.
No, you're right.
Because of stories and everything else. And then when all of a sudden the wrestler's like, who's this guy? I'd be like, oh, he supposedly came from out west or something. You know, he was a champion out there. He's really, really good because you went to your aunt's house in Virginia one day and she got wrestling and something. You know what I mean? It was different, yeah, but you know, there were ways. Wrestling always seems to nurture itself, and it just depends, like, on the audience that it has. We've already said when you watch wrestling on TV nowadays, it looks almost fake.
Yeah,
because of how crisp the picture is, and
I agree.
You know, like it's missing the rawness. It needs the rawness.
I agree.
I don't want to see pock marks on some guy's chest because he shaved his chest before the match. I want to see rawness. I want to see, like, I want to leave stuff to the imagination.
I listen. I totally agree. I don't watch much wrestling at all today, and again, it's totally different.
To watch, Frankie, you watch wrestling today, don't you? I mean, today's day and age wrestling.
Yeah, Frankie watches too. He still watches.
Yeah, I can't bring. I tried, man. I tried. I can't bring myself to watch it.
Yeah, I agree.
There's enough characters in wrestling, to be honest with you, at this point in time.
Yeah. Like I said, I think it's more, and I know they go through different eras and styles and cultures. I don't find them to do enough wrestling. You know, nowadays it's more mic work and scenarios than it is actually. And you know, obviously today it's more. All right, this is definitely characters. We're not real. I really don't hate this person. You know, to me, that was the illusion of the day that really drew me in, is you actually believe that the Bulldogs and the Hart Foundation hated each other, or that, you know, Hulk Hogan and Brutus Beefcake hated each other. Meanwhile, they were best friends. You know, you
I hear you, man. I hear you.
Yeah. So our last match is an interesting one. I would have almost flipped this one. I would have done Steve Austin and Roddy Piper and The Rock and Hogan. I think that's more on par because, you know, I don't know. To me, I think that's where I would have went. But going this way, as good a wrestler and as great on the mic as Austin was, nobody's Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan is the Babe Ruth of wrestling. It's just, you know, there is no wrestling today without Hulk Hogan beating the Iron Sheik back in 1983. It doesn't exist today. So Hogan was a subpar wrestler, but a pop icon, a guy who just whipped the frenzy of the entire country for 5 or 6 years behind him, and to this day is still a huge name, and will be one of those guys when people are talking about the 80s, his name will come up. He will be a guy who's talked about. I got you, Frankie. I know that Austin's a better wrestler, maybe just as good on the mic, but he's still Hulk Hogan, Jeff.
Oh, listen, here's how I see it. I was waiting to see if you said anything, and you didn't say it. Okay, or not in the exact words that I was hoping you did, but no Hulk Hogan, Steve Austin's driving a fucking truck or working in a warehouse someplace.
You agree?
You know, some of these guys, they're never doing anything. They're never wrestlers. Hulk Hogan is what drew people in there.
Sure.
Frank, Steve Austin was one of the biggest dicks that I ever met, man. He was not cool at all. I met him in an autograph signing on Staten Island. I said, Steve, you're the greatest. And he looked up at me, he grunted, and just kept signing. He didn't even look at me. Well, I'm like, okay, no problem. Fuck you too. But I got to go with Hulk Hogan because he said there was nothing he did wrong until his career was over. Yeah. And when he said, I'm going to take my vitamins and say my prayers and this, that, and the other thing. And we were there like, yeah. We were behind Hulk until he fought the Ultimate Warrior.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. And then we thought the Ultimate Warrior was the greatest thing since sliced bread. But Steve Austin, he took what Hulk Hogan did and he took it, he put it on his back and he put it up another notch. And without Steve Austin, you don't have wrestling today as it is. You definitely don't have it. Those are two men that and The Rock, that gave wrestling the biggest shot in the arm that you possibly could, man. Yep. I don't care what anybody says. Hulk Hogan first, with the help of the Iron Sheik and everything that was going on there. Steve Austin came around at the right time with some of the right supporting cast, and he took the ball and he ran with it. And listen, all of these guys that are on this paper right there in front of you, whether they're in red or blue, are incredible talents. And at one point in time in our lives, we watched all of them, most of us, or we knew of all of them.
Sure.
They gave you something to do, something to watch. It was an incredible time. What more could be said, man? This was good stuff.
Yeah, no, listen, this would have been an incredible card to go see. I mean, there's some good matches. There would have been a lot of good stuff. The last two matches would have been great. And yeah, you're right, Jeff. These are guys, and the last four guys are guys who we will always talk about when we talk wrestling on this show. And I didn't think of it that way. You're right. WWF, WWE was floundering, looking for their next big thing till Steve Austin came around. And that blew it back up again, and they all prospered after that. So you're right. I didn't think of it that way, and I didn't know it until I watched a couple of these documentaries, behind-the-scenes stuff. I didn't realize his impact on wrestling at that time. Like I just didn't. I knew Hogan's because I watched, midnight on Saturday night, and all of a sudden, wrestling was on 15 times a week, and it was in prime time. It's Saturday nights. It's and it was the biggest thing in the world. They were on everything from lunchboxes to ice cream, and then that faded away. And then I guess Steve Austin showed up, and it blew up all over again.
But see, here's something that I don't know if you know this or not, or realize it or whatever, and that's fine because you weren't into wrestling to the same extent as you were years ago. When Steve Austin was on wrestling, okay, and he was leading the charge, and he made it a big thing, and but Hogan was still wrestling only in WCW at the time.
Okay.
WWE or WWF, whatever they were at the time when he first came out, they still had character wrestlers. Not everybody was just a name.
Okay.
Mick Foley is Mankind. Okay.
Yeah.
But he was known as Mankind.
Right.
He was known as Cactus Jack. He was known as Dude Love.
Yeah.
The Undertaker, he's Mark Calloway.
Right.
He's the Undertaker. He's always going to be the Undertaker.
Yeah.
Kane started off as a fucking character with charcoal blacked out on his face, his hair cut to here with a mask on. And then one day they pulled the mask off and he had half a head of hair and that was supposed to be a burn mark. And then all of a sudden one day the burn mark was gone. They shaved the rest of his fucking head. Mm-hmm. He didn't have two different color eyes anymore. It's like, how did this happen?
Yeah.
And it was the beginning of the end, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Triple H is always going to be Triple H, but he's not a character wrestler.
Nope.
No.
Yeah. It's a different time. It's different. And, I'll always go back to, I know, my dad's big on, he has his, my day stuff. I don't want to be that way, but when it comes to wrestling, like I'm different when it comes to other sports. I love the game of football today. I mean, it's, it's different than in the 70s and 80s, but I think it's great. But wrestling to me hit its peak 80s, maybe into the early 90s. I know that, the late 90s, early 2000s, it grew up big with Austin and those guys. But to me, that 80s wrestling to me is where it begins and ends.
Yeah, of course, because like you said, there was a lot of mystique to it.
Yeah.
There was a lot of mystique to it. Just like in wrestling, like the Macho Man and Hulk Hogan, they were brothers. They were everything else. Everything, they were like this. They were so tight. They were like this. You can't even put your finger around it so much, okay?
Yeah.
They were so fucking tight. Then all of a sudden, one day, Macho Man thought that Hogan was trying to tap Elizabeth.
Right.
And what happened? All of a sudden, Macho Man started acting like he did before he was friends with Hogan.
Yep.
There were problems. They weren't getting along. And now you believe that. You believed it. You're like, wow. Now it's like, you could be friends 1 minute, be enemies later, and then later on in the show, you're friends again because he came and helped you because you were friends a long time ago. And you know what I mean?
No, I get it. I agree with you. I'm not saying it's not huge. That's not my point. I'm just saying for my own personal, I don't find it entertaining. And I think a lot of what Jeff said before, with it's too clean now. You see too much. Back in the day, it was grainy. You were from a distance. You were almost kind of guessing some of the things they were doing. You couldn't see the fact that the guy was cutting himself, and they were talking to each other in the ring.
Look at it this way. I'm sorry, Tom. Fabulous Moolah.
Right.
You all remember Fabulous Moolah, right?
Oh,
okay. She was the only woman in wrestling at the time. Who was she wrestling? Also, Wendy Richter came out of nowhere.
yes.
Moolah had the belt, but who did she be for the belt? Who did she defend the belt against until Wendy Richter came around? And then Wendy Richter won it, and then who'd she fight? She fought Fabulous Moolah.
Yeah.
Okay. Now there's a women's division that was headlining WrestleMania.
Yeah.
And was one of the main events in some of the biggest pay-per-views. Now, these women, let's call it for what it is, are blistering hot. Yeah, but do you really want to see a woman on as a, what do you call it?
Headliner?
Main event in WrestleMania? Yeah. I don't.
No, I agree. Listen, it was back in our day, and I hate to say that.
That was
it was a novelty. It was a novelty match. Yeah. It was almost like the midgets, or some of those other matches. It was a novelty act. And you're right.
All women's pay-per-view next month.
Yeah, and again, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with it if you like it. Wrestling back in the day, when the women
what it reminds me of?
What?
Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling.
Yeah. I never watched. I remember it. They need to bring back. Yeah, you're right. They do need to bring back the midgets.
They can't because what are you going to call them? Little people?
No, you got to call them midgets.
You can't call them midgets though, because then somebody's going to get mad. What are you kidding me?
Oh my God, but let me tell you something. Those I never saw a full midget match. It was always like Andre the Giant and 3 midgets versus somebody else and 3 midgets. Like, it was always one of those matches. And there'd be 3 of them clinging to Andre's legs, and he'd be flipping them around. It was great. But I don't ever remember there being a just total midget match because it wouldn't have worked. You would have laughed at it. But, it was always a novelty to get, those guys in the ring and have some fun with it. But yeah, again, there's nothing wrong with today's wrestling. If you like it, it's huge. I scan by it sometimes and you see the crowds are packed, and WrestleManias are a 2-day event and it's sold out every year. So obviously they know what they're doing and they're doing a good job with it. It's just not for me. So, but anyway,
the problem with wrestling today is that Vince McMahon is not involved with the WWE anymore.
Yeah,
His wife finally caught up to him.
Yeah,
and whatever it is that's going on, and it's
But I
It is
did
what
hear he's trying to buy his way back in.
yeah. Well, you know
You
what?
know what happens,
You would
but-
think he got 2 days for SummerSlam now. Wow,
Yeah.
he's
Wow.
going to have to be pushing 80. Vince McMahon.
Like I thought it was big back in the day when you had WrestleMania. Then all of a sudden it was the Royal Rumble. Then it was SummerSlam. It would. I mean, that's where it took off. And was it 87, 88 when they started doing all that stuff? So, but now 2 day. See, to me, it's almost just like a convention when you start doing it for 2 days. Like think about the Super Bowl being a 2 day event. It's not. It's a 1 day. It's one game. It's one.
That's money that it makes, man.
I know. I listen.
Money it makes.
And people sell it out, and people. So to me, like I said, to me, keep doing it. If you're blowing it out, great for you. But it's just not for me. I can't buy into the characters or whatever they are, the wrestlers, and it just doesn't do it for me. But listen, there's nothing wrong with it. Every month, APL. What's a PLE?
I don't know. It can't be pay-per-view. Maybe pay-per-view PPE, pay-per-view event, and he hit L by accident.
Maybe, I don't know. They are near each other, so I don't know. Frank, tell me what a PLE is. I don't know what that is. And maybe you're right. Maybe it's a pay-per-view event, and you just hit the L. Anyway, we're gonna wrap it up right here. It's been I wasn't sure we were gonna get through 2 hours, but we certainly did. Oh, public live event. Okay. Again, if people are paying for it and they're into it, and the younger generation's buying in, good for them. I have no
public live event that was on. Well, yeah, because it's not pay-per-view like it once was. You could watch it anywhere. But they used to do the videos or the shows once a month and shit.
Yeah.
They just expanded where they're playing, where they're fighting and wrestling. Because remember, it used to be once a month at the Garden. You used to be able to get the results in the paper and watch it on MSG.
Absolutely, 100%. Well, Frankie, I appreciate you putting that up on your thing, and we snatched it for a next 40-minute conversation. So thank you very much, and thank you to Jeff. I appreciate it. It was a good show. We got through a bunch of stuff, and we did our 2 hours. And as always, I look forward to Thursday nights. It's just tougher and tougher to come up with some subjects, but it is what it is. Jeff, you got another show this weekend, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Back at the Trotters, or you the other?
Yeah, the last one now.
Okay. Good night, Frank. Have a great weekend, pal.
Be good, man.
Yep. All right. Good for you. This is another Mad show, or is this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, another middle-aged delinquent show.
All right. So you got the delinquents this weekend. You got the big event the following Saturday. Do you have a gig on Sunday after that?
Yes, the 29th, the Food Truck Festival with 25 missions. I'm looking forward to that at Mount Loretto. That's always a fun one.
Nice.
If you come, eat first because they fucking charge you out the ass for food.
Oh, really?
Oh my god, dude! I went to go get a fucking lobster roll. They wanted to give me like $20 for a lobster roll. I'm like, no. Like I could afford to lose a few pounds there.
I went to one of the first ones that they did of that. That's going back probably 10 years. Not quite 10 years, but I was going to see somebody play out there. I don't know if you played that show with 25 missions, but I
played a couple of the food truck festivals with them.
I know American Cover Story was playing, and I know for sure I went to see them because they were always supporting our events, and I felt like I had to go. So I went, and I remember trying to get a rice ball off the truck, and it was like $9 for a rice ball.
Yeah, there ain't no rice bowl in the world worth $9.
Yeah, it's like I'll eat my mother's for free before I pay $9 for this fucking ball of rice.
Yeah, I hear that.
But listen, okay, so you got that and then I got the big birthday celebration, all that good stuff.
Yeah, I don't know what's gonna happen with that this year. Birthday celebration. I don't know. You know, it's getting older now and I don't know, man.
Yeah, creeping up on 60, my man. Creeping up.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Oh boy.
Scary shit.
First one of the group to make it to 60. That's
I gotta get there first.
It's true. It's very true. I don't want to take it anyway. But all right, so we got the Trotters this weekend. We got the food truck the following weekend. We got the party. We got all of that. So good for you. And then we'll be back next Thursday to do this all over again. Do you have time? You want to jump, do your dog walking, and you want to jump on and play a game, or you're busy tonight?
Honestly, dude, I do not know what's going on. I got to
I-
keep an eye on her with the storms and
Text me if you
got a
want to.
couple of text messages that I got to deal with as it is.
All right, text me if you want to jump on. If not, we'll maybe try to fit one in this weekend. We haven't gotten to play in a while.
This weekend, yeah, I'll definitely be able to squeeze one in sometime this weekend.
All right, so let's yeah, I'll be home early tomorrow. I think my day should be a little shorter. My work is very, very light right now, but I'm around all weekend, so we'll figure something out and we'll catch up over the weekend to play. In the meantime, Jeff, it's been a great show. I appreciate it. I thank everybody who tuned in, Frankie and Adam Hines, Louis Pica, everybody, Matt Salitri. Again, Matt, our prayers for your dad, and we please have a safe flight to down to Florida. And we hope you guys have a great rest of your night, a great rest of your week, a great weekend, a great next week. It's going to be a hot one, so please bring a change of underwear with you wherever you go, and do us all a favor and change them out once in a while.
Actually, just start getting used to going commando because it's going to be too hot for underwear very soon.
Very soon is right. I would tell you, I was on a roof all day today.
Oh,
It was a good part of the morning, and boy, oh boy, when I was done, I was soaked through in a couple spots. So, but anyway, listen, thank you all for tuning in. We'll do this again next Thursday night when Jeff and I get together again and chat for 2 hours about the biggest news from around the world of hard rock, heavy metal, of course, the wide world of sports. So, guys, enjoy your weekend, enjoy your week. We'll see you next Thursday night when we get to do this all over again. Hefe, have a great night. I'll talk to you off the air.
you got it, man.
Later.
Later.
And stream.